I'm Adora Crystal. Welcome to the Rich Queen podcast. I believe that we each came here to experience, create, express something so freaking epic. And I believe that your life and all that you create is your queendom. Your journey to rich living. Whatever that is for you starts now.
All right, we did it. If you're here live with us, thank you so much for being live. Usually we get to read the replay, so it's so great to have you, Sherry, Kathy. Please be involved with us. So I'm going to go ahead and start us. My name is Adora. Most people come to me to either manifest more money, scale their sales, or learn to close high-end sales, especially coaches. But one of my favorite things to do is to talk about creating your own rich life, whatever that means, whether you want to live in a tent in Bali or you want to be a multi-millionaire hanging out with Oprah. Hey, that's my goal. And so I love to share with you my very, very favorite people, because guess what? You are who you hang out with. Woo! I'm so lucky. We got this $1 million mommy blogger. I call her that. She doesn't call herself that. Her bio said nothing like that. She started her freaking blog by accident. I can't wait for you to hear this story. And she's supporting moms all over. You know, kids sit in front of technology. She has all these activities that you can do with your bambinos so that they're not vegetables. And let me see, I'm going to look at, and then it's kidsactivities.com. So make sure you check that out. You've got all these things to do with your kids. Holly, thank you so much for being
Adora,
here.
I'm so excited to be here. I wish I could hug you in person.
I know. So we met in Phoenix, you guys, at that little event and just connected. Our hearts like, whoa, and then found out we're both in Dallas. But we still decided to do this over Zoom.
What is wrong with us? Well, and then we randomly ran into each other 2 weekends ago, which I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, hello, Amelia. Hello, Nate. You guys have to listen to this. Okay, her blog has done over 1 million, like several years in a row, but she freaking started by accident. So, Holly, let's talk, darling. Let's talk. How do you start a blog by accident?
Well, I mean, when you're not intentional about stuff, things just happen.
Give me the scoop. I want the scoop.
Yeah, so it was about 12 years ago, and I had 3 little boys under the age of 5. I was a stay-at-home mom, and 3 little boys under the age of 5 was like, my life was pure chaos. There was no predictability other than like somebody's going to be upset at all times. And it was nuts. And I had like worked for about 10 years prior to that, managed, I'm a physical therapist. So I had managed clinics and I had like spoken in front of people and people had listened to me. And then all of a sudden I'm like here at home. Nobody cares what I have to say. And it was just like kind of like almost felt like a parallel universe to me because I just was so overwhelmed with just tiny little things that moms get wrapped up in when they have little kids and no sleep. I mean, it's just it's a normal thing.
Right? How many of you moms in there? You go from like corporate boss babe or like every night at the club to like full on chaos, spit up all over you. It's like, speaking gibberish.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. And so one of the ways I coped was that one of my friends from college, we were writing these really long emails to each other every Saturday morning. And she had 2 boys about the same age as my older 2. And so we were dealing with a lot of the same things. And we just pour out our hearts like once a week. And then, so she would, one of us would send it to the other and then, we'd respond and it just it got us to bedtime. So this had been going on for about a year and it was a Saturday morning. I was in my kitchen and all hell was breaking loose and it was 10 a.m. and she still hadn't emailed me. And I'm just oh my gosh, it's 9 hours till bedtime and I've got to I'm refreshing, And finally, her email comes in, and she said that the subject line is, "I think we should stop emailing each other."
No.
Like, no, I don't think you understand. This is the only reason I'm making it through the day. Like, you cannot say, no, I'm not going to accept that. So I opened up the email, and the first line was, "I think we should start blogs." And she kind of went on to describe that, like, she had been emailing another friend. So I'm not the only one.
Oh, no.
And I will just set that aside for right now. And then that she said we could just put what we were like writing in the emails on what she called the blog, and then we could go and read each other's blogs. And so she told me how to go into like blogspot.com and set up a blog. And so that, like, right then I went and set up a blog, and I called it June Cleaver Nirvana. And I was a blogger all of a sudden. The crazy thing is, I had no idea that, like, what a blog was, or like other people blogged. Like, so I was just writing like what she had told me to, like what we had put in the emails. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we can put pictures. And so then, like, the first few weeks, I was like, oh my God, this is going to save me so much money in scrapbooking, because I was like making scrapbooks and then making my mom a scrapbook and then my friend a scrapbook. So like I was making multiple versions of that scrapbook, and it's expensive. And so I was like, this blogging thing is genius. I'm gonna be able to put my pictures, and then people can come look at it for free. And about 3 weeks in, so my mom was reading my blog, and Jody, my friend, was reading my blog, and then one of my other relatives I told about. So I had 3 readers,
Yeah.
and I was very excited.
Woo! 3
because
readers.
3 readers. So about 3 weeks in, I got a comment that wasn't my mom, wasn't Jody, wasn't my relative. It was this girl named Megan, and her name in the comment was like a different color. So I clicked on it, and she had a blog. Like, other people do this. And so I realized then she also had a blog roll, because this is like back in the dark ages of the internet. And I went through that blog roll and realized there was lots of people that had blogs. I wasn't the only one. And so many of those women that were in her blog roll are some of my best friends now, because I just kind of immersed myself in that community and realized like that was my support system for so many years after that.
Oh my gosh, it gives me chills again, and I think I've begged you for this story 3 or 4 times now, because it cracks me up. I love the line, like, it was a different color. There's a Megan who's commenting on, like, how did she get in here? Who is she? Like, that is so crazy. And so these women became your friends. And then what happened? Like, hello there, Holly. Karen says, hi, Diana.
Hi, Karen. So basically, I started I threw myself into that blogging community and really, just started reading what other moms were going through. And then gave me an idea of, what I needed to write about. And also just started I had not been a writer. I mean, I had a physical therapy, so I'd been in science lab when everybody else was in creative writing classes. And so I just wrote every single day, and it was really rough for the first year or 2, but I got better at it and really started to enjoy it. And so over the years, I was able to kind of chronicle those years were, talking about my situation with 3 little boys. And then as they got older, I realized there was an issue because their teachers might be reading it, or their friends' moms. And all of a sudden they were hearing feedback about what I had written on my blog. And so there became a point where I realized that their stories are no longer mine. And so I needed to kind of figure out like something that didn't embarrass them for the rest of their lives in public.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And that's kind of where like kids activities came around is that was kind of that shift of like those, deep personal potty training stories to more of like, hey, here's parenting resources, here's things to do with your kids and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, when did you realize that you moved from hobby to this could pay you? Because that's a big thing.
Yeah. And that, there were clues all along. And one of the big ones for me was pajama jeans. And, so my husband and I were laying in bed one night, like super late at night, watching infomercials because that's what married people do. And the infomercial for pajama jeans came on, and they look like jeans but feel like pajamas, which, I mean, who doesn't need this in their life? So we're like laying there and he's like, you want this, don't you? I'm like, no, no, I don't want it. And he's like, no, you want these. I'm like, no, I don't. I absolutely do not need pajama jeans. And then finally he said, you know what? You could get them and you could write about them on your blog and it would be a business expense. And I'm like, I'm in. I definitely need pajama jeans. And so one of my first business expenses was pajama jeans. So I got them and they were like not terrible, but not awesome. And so I kind of I wrote the blog post, which now I realize was kind of a genius SEO trick, where I took like the infomercial almost word for word and then kind of gave my 2 cents back. So they feel like, they look like jeans. Well, kind of from a distance. And then when they look like, feel like pajamas, I'm like, yeah, I guess they do. So I kind of went through that really specifically and embedded like the YouTube version of the infomercial. And so like the whole thing was kind of poking fun at it. It was kind of a funny post that my readers just really loved. They thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
and
of course, they were thinking about buying their own pajama jeans.
Right.
Was that a fashion fall for a lot of, I think the world over has maybe not done, it didn't do us a favor. Yeah, it didn't. No. It's a favor. It saved money for people that bought them. Yeah.
It gave them a real look at what it was. And so I didn't think much about it other than I started doing other as seen on TV products because it's just something I thought was funny. Yeah. And about a few months later, I noticed that I was getting a lot of traffic to the blog, a lot. Like my whole blog was probably getting 10,000 page views a month, and my pajama jean post was getting 100,000 page views a month.
What?
And I know. So what I found out was I was on the front page of Google for about 20 terms surrounding pajama jeans and pajama jean review.
Oh my gosh.
And then what happened was it was getting close to the holidays, and Pajamagram that pulled pajama jeans in as their holiday gift of the season and did this huge blast out on TV and radio. You could not turn on the TV or radio without seeing a pajama jean ad, which just sent my traffic through the roof because people were going and searching online about this information. And so I all of a sudden I put Google AdSense on my blog because Google AdSense has a minimum payout of $100. So before this, that would have been a year's worth of traffic to get to $100. And so all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to make so much money, because Google AdSense pays $4 every 1,000 people. I'm going to make so much money. And then, so I'm rolling in the dough, I'm making, $10 a day on Google AdSense. And then the next thing that happened was the official affiliate program for Pajama Jeans contacted me and they said, we noticed that you're on the front page of Google for Pajama Jeans. And I had never done anything affiliate. And basically affiliate just means that every time, like if you send a customer to a company, they'll pay you like a little like bounty. And so they said, if you put this ad at the bottom of your Pajama Jean post, we will pay you $11 for every pair of pajama jeans that you sell. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I was in moral crisis because like I didn't like pajama jeans. And then I was like, but wait, like, you know, like I can't sell things that I don't believe in. And so I went back and I read the post and it was not glowing. It was like, this is kind of like crap. And then I read all the way through it and I thought, if someone still wants to buy pajama jeans after reading this, I should definitely benefit from them.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? It's a joke thing, or maybe they want to get a terrible gift. Yeah.
So I installed the little ad at the bottom, and I started selling between 10 and 15 pairs of pajama jeans a day.
No way. Are you kidding me?
So, and that was all through like the holiday season. So I had like several weeks of just like so much craziness. Like I had not made any money until this point. And all of a sudden,
Wait, how many years into blogging? How many years into blogging were you?
It was probably 3 or 4. I mean, 3 or 4, like I had maybe taken on a sponsor or something here and there, but like this was money way beyond. I mean, this was hundreds of dollars a day. Yeah. And that was like mind-blowing amount of money. Even if it's for a few weeks, I was like, this is crazy.
Well,
and so
Holly, is that a lot of people stop at 3 weeks or 3 months. Right. They go after some goal or some dream. I'm going to be a multimillionaire. They focus on the money instead of the opposite. You were really connecting with friends, connecting with moms, then sharing and all of that. And then year 3, year 4, you have this breakthrough that, again, you always hear about this overnight success. Obviously, it wasn't overnight. It was real love, real dedication, real passion. Yeah. And then boom, luck happened because you were in the right place. You stayed in the game. You were consistent. You nurtured your hobby, even if it's just nurturing self-love consistency, right? So, and it's not obviously, but okay, so go to you. So now hundreds of dollars a day selling.
Yeah. So hundreds
of bash. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then I realized, okay, the holidays are going to be over, and I won't sell, so much pajama jeans, and like, I'm okay with that. And, so kind of the holidays wound down, and I was still selling a little bit here and there, but the most amazing thing happened is that Pajamagram decided that pajama jeans, like if you really, really loved your sweetheart, like you would buy pajama jeans for Valentine's Day for them. And so that whole like media uptake happened again. And I rode pajama jeans all the way through like Valentine's Day. And so I was like, okay, like it's going to come to an end. And then Pajamagram decided that if you really, really love your mother, that you're going to buy a pair of pajama jeans for Mother's Day. And so once again, media just went up. And so I sold pajama jeans through December, most of February, and then into the Mother's Day holiday. So it was a crazy ride. And then after Mother's Day, Pajamagram did drop pajama jeans, and the affiliate program was dropped. So like it all came crashing down. But I had made enough money that it's actually almost the exact amount of money that I paid before the blog that is now kidsactivities.com. So my whole business.
So how much was that?
Built.
I'm so nosy.
It was right. Yeah, I was going to say I made over $5,000 on pajama jeans in those. And you have to remember my blog, like it was tiny, like it was my mom blog, way back a long time ago. That was unheard of in that time.
Yeah, that's so crazy. So then when it came crashing down, so you didn't go out and buy a Ferrari, but you went out and you saw this possibility. So it woke you up to like what's possible. So then what did you do to keep that going?
Yeah, so I had at that time I was kind of like looking at different ways to monetize, obviously, and then anything I could do to get on the front page of Google, I was working on. So it was kind of cool because it gave me a really early awareness of SEO, what search engines are looking for, what Google looks for in blog posts. And so that was really valuable just across the board on my blog. And then I started looking for other projects to get involved in. And so I had a local website for moms, well, actually for women, called She Is Dallas for a while. I bought the blog that's now Kids Activities. And over those years, I probably had about, I don't know, I have a picture that has them all out there, but like about 15 different projects. And
wait a second, Myron Golden is watching us. Hi, Myron. Okay, he's a great mentor, so we had to do a shout out there. Yep. Okay, go ahead, Holly.
So I had these projects that I just, each one taught me something amazing. And so I kept just working on the ones that were easier to monetize. And so that's kind of how I built up. And then I had to learn to let go of projects that didn't monetize well. And that was probably my hardest lesson, is that you can't beat a dead horse forever. There's some things that just won't make money. And so that's kind of how it came about. And then Kids Activities was the one that just really was able to grow quickly. And it was something that, people were looking for that information. Mm-hmm. And we were able to get traction on, Pinterest and Facebook and all these other places to find people that were potential readers for the site.
Yeah, I'm just making notes because I want to make sure. One thing that I love too is so many times entrepreneurs, I've done it, we get really stuck on our own idea and what we think is going to be epic and awesome. And like you said, it doesn't really serve or translate at the level. And so I love hearing that you were willing to change and try new things. Once this opened to you that, okay, this is more than a hobby, it's a way to bring in some income for my family, make life better, and all that you were willing to try different things and to let go of things. So letting go, you say, is one of your greatest. Yeah, it is hard. Oh my gosh.
It is hard because you're and it's always the projects that you think are going to do the best and have the best, you have the closest attachment to, but it comes down to people vote with their dollars and with their attention. And online, it's really easy to see those votes kind of behind the scenes when you look at Google Analytics, or how many people visited, or how long they stayed on the site. And it doesn't matter what you think. They're voting. And no matter how hard you push something that you love, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, dang it. I
know.
Oh my God.
See, if we were in charge and could just tell everybody what to do, it'd be so much easier.
It'd be so much easier. I know. And so now you've got companies like Disney partnering up with your site, right?
Yeah. Now it's, and the climate has changed so much from those early days. The early days, nobody made money blogging, except maybe one or two big names that, that had a massive audience compared to the rest of us. But now it's just commonplace to see, major companies working with bloggers of all sizes. You don't have to have a blog as large as mine to work with sponsors. And it's really, really cool because when you think about it, like kids activities, we have 98% of our readers are women, and you can pretty much assume they're either, a grandma, a mom, or a teacher, because they're there looking for those kids activities. So, it's really cool that companies have embraced the fact that if I want to talk to a mom, kids activities is a really good place to go.
I love that. So, that brings me to something, because I was thinking blogging might be over unless you started like you did by accident. But you're saying, no, it's not, and that you don't really need. So who is blogging right for?
We keep hearing, blogging's dead. I think people forget where content comes from. Like, where do you think Alexa gets the answer to your question? It's from a blog. Where do you think Siri gets the answer to your question? It's from a website or a blog. So, even the delivery method is changing over time. One of the things you might see is Pinterest. Now, a lot of their pins may have the recipes on it. Where did the recipe come from? It came from the blog that you can click through to. So, as you can call the blog's dead, website's dead, but I think you have to understand that is the foundation that all these social media platforms and all these, third parties are pulling the information from. But which means it's even more important to have good relationship with Google, because that's how Alexa figures out how to answer and stuff like that. So, search engine optimization and SEO is as more important today than it ever was, on top of the ability to reach out through social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Awesome. Okay. So, and when I said blogging is dead, I didn't mean for super awesome bloggers like you, but someone just coming in that is just starting. There's still a place, because you're saying companies will work with all different sizes if you have a really obvious audience that you've got their attention. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always going to be building communities will never be dead. It may look different in the future, but if you were supporting especially a highly niched community, whether that be on a website or on a social media platform, I would always have a home base on a website or a blog that you own, because Facebook changes its algorithm, and all of a sudden you can't reach the people that you want to talk to, or Pinterest does the same thing. Instagram, all these places, you're not in charge except when you own the platform, which is one of the benefits of a blog. And yes, blogs will look different in a few years, and it may be a completely different ball game, but there will always be some element of there will always be need for content. Yeah, especially quality content. That you would say, well, books are dead because the internet. There's more books being sold today than any before. So it just might look a little different than it did in the past.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so, what does it mean to have a good relationship with Google? You just mentioned how do you? Are there some no-nos that you should avoid to make sure? And then I want to come back to blogging and a few steps around that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the early days, if you were, how maybe 10 years ago, you might Google something and the results were so far off what you actually, the actual information that you wanted. And then over the years, you've seen now, 8 years ago, you would have put a word or two in, because you knew if you put a whole question in, it would just blow Google's mind. So you put a keyword or two in there. Now you can you can ask Alexa or Google, it's this huge long question, and pretty much be guaranteed to get something pretty close to what you were looking for, which shows how savvy it's gotten over the years. So the funny thing is now, the best way to approach your content when you're wanting to get noticed by Google is to just answer questions. Make sure that the questions that people would ask when they are looking for that kind of this seems so obvious, but you could spend millions of dollars on SEO training to learn this, but you don't have to do that. But like the bottom line is you need to talk in a language that Google can identify that you're answering those questions. And it's as simple as that. Obviously you want to have a site that has some, Google also will look at things. And by the way, Facebook and Pinterest do this too. But they look at the quality of content because all three of those platforms want their users to have a really good experience. So when you let's say you put like a link to my blog today on Facebook, and Facebook would watch as you, how long you went over there. If you flipped right back, Facebook knows that's not quality content. So it keeps score there. That's kind of what Google does. If you ask a question and then you've gotten that result that is absolutely not what you're looking for, and you flip right back to Google and you Google the same thing, that's an indication to Google that it didn't answer the question. And so when you're creating content and when you are linking to things, you want to make sure that you are number one, portraying it so that it people who are actually wanting and looking for that information are clicking through, and then you're giving them enough information to stay and enjoy it for a while.
That's awesome. So you would put that in the headline, or the questions could be anywhere on the blog?
Yeah. So you probably would the overarching topic, you'd want to make sure that's in the title. But then if you go to some of my kids activities blog posts, you might see a bunch of questions at the end that relate to it. Because let's say you're making Play-Doh. We have hundreds of Play-Doh recipes on the site. Well, it might be important to know, is this Play-Doh edible? What happens if your kid does eat this Play-Doh? Are there different ways you could are there different ways to color this Play-Doh? Or what are some other activities you could do with this Play-Doh? And our goal is just to kind of answer all those questions before the reader might even think of them. And then what that does for Google is as they're looking for a Play-Doh recipe, but maybe someone said, is Play-Doh edible, for instance? Maybe that's what they typed in, is they might end up sending them to my blog post that has an edible Play-Doh recipe because Google thinks, well, if they're looking for edible Play-Doh, maybe this is a good fit for them.
Yeah, that's so awesome and so helpful. So I want to insert a few things before we dig in a little more and give you all that are live with us, because we don't usually get to read all the questions live, the opportunity to ask Holly any questions that you want. One is, of course, you have this epic kids activities site where parents can go grab, and teachers and grandparents can go grab things to be interactive with their kids and engage with them. But you're also starting to mentor people who want to follow a passion and start blogging. So people can add you personally, right? Holly Homer, as a friend on Facebook, and private message you if that's something that they want to go further. Because you've got group coaching, Janine says hi, and you've got some one-on-one things and some live events and things like that too. So obviously you know what you're doing. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to ask about, so for me, this whole thing is about, I love surrounding myself with people that are creating their lives on their own terms. I believe that that we're spirits that squeezed ourselves into a body, and we came to experience something epic, and that it takes something to break away from the norm and decide that you're going to choose your dreams, your journey. And it takes a constant washing of your own mind and activities. So, yeah, you've obviously you've retired your husband, haven't you? I've retired him. He works at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
he
does
now
that
works
feel?
with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband is a physician, and it was a situation where he was working so hard, and the state of medicine in this country is such that they were, he was, basically he's a radiologist. So he was reading, which, translates, to seeing patients. He was required to read more and more and more studies per hour than like then I felt like was humanly possible. And then on top of that, it was like such, a heavy weight of these are important studies, like, some, literally life and death issues that I think a lot of us that are not in that profession kind of think lightly about. But, when your doctor is a really, really conscientious person, that weighs on, like, that's a level of stress that most people don't have in their occupation. And so what was happening is it was just so much stress on him all the time. And then he had long hours and crazy hours, like middle of the night hours that just disrupted basically our entire family. And I just saw him like withering away. And I don't think it's any mystery why one of the highest groups up for suicides is doctors. Like doctors have I think it's 10 years less life expectancy than any other group. And it's just because it's a crazy, crazy stressful thing. And so we only have one shot at this life, and this is stupid. Like, this is stupid that like this whole situation is just, our whole family's off kilter because it's too much for one person. And so we started looking at different, investments, and we bought into a franchise, and we realized that we could retire him with a chain of 7 stores. And so we started working on top like that. And then, thankfully that franchise just never, ever came to fruition. It was a year of me shaking them, trying to get our first store, and it never happened. And I think the reason why it never happened is because by that point, my blog was doing as well as 7 stores on a franchise would have done.
Oh my gosh,
and
that gives me chills. And I kind of want to cry too. And I'm amazed and oh my gosh. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and the thing of it is if we had opened up 7 stores we would have been, $1.4 million in debt. We would have 5-year leases on 7 stores. We would have, employees that we love and wanted to make sure, got a paycheck in 7 stores. And I think that's what's so crazy about the opportunity online today is, people just underestimate what is out there. This is something that I built from my living room with no overhead, with a computer. And I'm terribly not tech savvy at all. And it's possible. So we often put limitations on ourselves to a level that is stupid. It's undermining and absolutely not helpful. Mm-hmm. And if there's something that you want to go out and you have an idea, today in 2019 is more available for any of those dreams than any other time in history. And I am proof of that. You are proof of that. I mean, what we do today is so much easier. I mean, if we had been born pioneers, this would look completely different.
Oh my gosh, yes, it would. We'd smell like horse poop and we'd be ripped.
I feel like we'd find our way. Yeah, we could find our way. It just would be way harder.
Oh my gosh, that is so inspiring to me because, it's the freedom, isn't it? It's the opportunity. Janine's laughing with us. We have Janine on our team. We definitely find our way. Yeah. So
when we're pioneers, Janine is the head of our wagon train. Okay.
Absolutely. If you don't know, Janine we both have her on our team and she is the funnel commander. So if you don't have a funnel commander, you need a funnel commander. Yeah. And you're in a wagon. You need Janine. Yeah. So,
or if you're going to war, be sure you take Janine with you.
Oh, definitely. If you're going to war.
anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah, I was going to put her ahead of my man funnel too, managing the man funnel, the dating.
I feel
dating
like that would work really well for you.
Yeah.
I think that's a wise decision.
I think so too. She's just Janine in charge of anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I'm just so inspired because it really is what you just said about the opportunity. I think it's really easy to lose sight of that or to get overwhelmed. You can travel and have a travel blog. You could be into, what's the craziest blog that you've seen as you've been in all these blogger conventions?
You can make a blog out of anything, and almost to a point where the more niched it is in some ways, the tighter community that can be you can be surrounded with. But I was involved in some conventions last year that had super highly niched sites. And one of them was a marijuana lobbyist blog. And so and another one was she was an amazing woman from the Middle East that was here almost in hiding because her mission was women's rights in the Middle East, and so but she was able through her blog to put words out that she couldn't speak publicly in her own home country. And just story after story of people who are able to use this platform in just the craziest, most amazing ways, because there is, yes, there's supposed to be free speech in this world, but to a certain extent that doesn't always happen. And in some cases that's probably fine, but who am I to judge that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the internet is kind of that great equalizer. And it's just amazing, once you get into, and what's the other thing I love about the blogging community is that it's almost like mini entrepreneurs. And so, it's that feeling of, kind of optimism and, look what you can create with your own two hands type thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Let me see if I wrote anything else out. So, you all, before we get going, because you're here live and that's a rare occasion, I'm going to give you a few moments to ask any questions or make any comments that you'd like to Holly. And in the meantime, Holly, what motivates you? What inspires you to keep going in this journey?
Yeah, it's just been so it started out about the community that kind of embraced me in a time of need. Yeah. And now, I'm so thankful and blessed that happened. And it's really building that for others is kind of the mission that I feel the most drawn to. And so what's really cool is I started this when nothing you couldn't even Google how to start a blog. There was no roadmap. We kind of made it up as we went along. And now it's different. I'm able to, use that knowledge that I scratched and clawed for and tested over and over again. And now it's just a simple thing that I can just share that with others and be more of a teacher and mentor, which I, just is my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah. And what's it like now that you've retired your husband? He works with you, but
he works.
Yeah, but you guys get to take off when you want, go be with your kids. Is life better? I know he's still working hard because you got a thriving company. But
it's night and day. And it's night and day. And our ability to, spend, he's so much more involved in our family and the kids' lives. He's the one that takes them to school and picks them up and makes sure that they have lunches. And it's just crazy just the turnaround and the level of stress that's in our house is minuscule compared to what it was at one time. And I do get an opportunity to travel or something like that, and he's able to go with me. Like, we can just do that. Whereas before, we had this calendar that had 2 weeks that he had off, and then nothing
even as a physician
was open for him.
Isn't that crazy? Because people get this idea in their mind that oh, it's such a great life, and he still had 2 weeks to go try to unwind. Oh my gosh.
Well, and even he would have extra days kind of in between, but a lot of times for years he worked the night shift. And so even you have a day or two off after that, or maybe a weekend off, but you're trying to just readjust your sleep schedule before the next shift. I mean, it was always we were in between. Okay, well, we just got off. Okay, we have 3 days to enjoy ourselves, and then we have to, it just is never, it just wasn't good for us.
Yeah.
It just was not a good situation for us. Whereas now, we don't have that. He's in there editing videos right now, but if he wanted to get up in the middle of the night and do that, he could, or he could do it now. There's freedom. We have time to plan ahead and stuff like that.
That's so awesome. What are you up to now next? Ask Janine.
So actually this weekend, I'm doing with Eileen Wilder. We're doing our first live event in Houston. Woo! And we're going to be doing the same thing in Dallas next month. And so anybody who wants information on that, just let me know.
I want information. I'm going to bring my baby and I'm going to drive down there. All right.
Sounds good.
Yes. Yay.
Yes.
Yay. What's rich living to you? This will be the last thing. What's rich living?
It really, for me, and, based on what we've been through in the last, 12 years, is I value freedom more than anything else. And I think it's, so rich living. Yes. I mean, it's great to have money because money solves problems. But if you have all the money in the world without freedom, and it would just be miserable. And so I like that time freedom and that, monetary freedom and all that is just the ability to craft the life that we were, meant to craft, to be able to put ourselves in a situation where we're not our life isn't running us, we get to run our lives.
I love it. Holly, I'm so glad that we all met. It's so awesome to have this inner circle. I remember us all being do you feel like sobbing because it's in person?
It's good.
It's so good. And I'm so grateful for you and for your story and for what you're up to in the world and what you're giving to the world and your commitment to your life, to your family, to your goals. And it just shows that when you really do what you love, it's not it just starts raining money, but it is definitely has that sustainability factor in it. So yeah,
it does. And if it started raining money, I would not be, I'd not object to that. But, it is true when you're doing something you're passionate about and you love, it doesn't feel like a job. Yeah. It's just good.
Yeah. And do you ever think, cause you're a mom, this is the perfect analogy. It's you go, okay, I'm going to have a child and there's all this joy and stuff. And there are days where it's freaking hard, obviously. And it's not the bestest, most funnest thing, the activities they find on your site are the funnest ever. It's not the most fun, but that drive gives you everything that you need to show up for them and the rewards of doing that. It's like that, right? It's not that it's not hard.
Right. It's kind of I think that's a perfect parallel. Entrepreneurship in many cases is raising a family. Is huge up and downs, and you never you feel disoriented most of the time as far as where you need to go next and all that kind of stuff. But if you can kind of step back, just like in parenting, if you can kind of step back and look at the situation with perspective and realize that like we take a deep breath, we, stop being reactionary and start planning a little bit. And in both situations, it makes it a lot easier and a lot happier too. And I think that's one thing that's on my heart for a lot of people who are like kind of white knuckling their life right now. It doesn't have to be that way. There's things that you teach and I teach and so many other just amazing people online that have kind of figured it out, because I've been there. I've been on those days where I'm not going to make it through. And today it's so much different because of what I've learned.
I love that. Well, I love you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you in person. I'll get the event details so that I can come down there for some of it. Whoop, whoop.
I love it.
All right. So much love. Thank you.
Hey, it's Adora Crystal again. I hope you so enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you did, please share it with 3 friends right now. Please use the hashtag The Rich Queen Movement, because we are always giving away prizes to our tribe. And if you want to go deeper with us, be sure to go to therichqueenmovement.com and take the free class that we're offering. It's going to help you unlock massive gifts inside of your own DNA. Until next time, so much love.